a Thought Leaders podcast.
Heather Armstrong was an outspoken mum who accidentally pioneered the model for how creators could make money from their content. Heather was one of the first and most successful mummy bloggers. She started her blog, Deuce.com, in 2001, where she documented her life, parenting experiences and personal struggles on her blog with humour, candour and a very unique writing style. A year after launching her blog, Heather made headlines when she was fired from her day job after writing about people in her workplace in various blog posts. Heather quickly gained a massive following of loyal readers who appreciated her unique account of parenthood. She shared her experiences about giving birth, her struggles with depression and cancer, and also her life living as a former Mormon. When Time magazine listed Deuce as one of its top 25 blogs, they shared some great examples of her signature writing style, including,
"Sometimes when I'm trying to roll out of bed in the morning, I'm like, whose boobs are these?" Or, "5 years ago at this exact moment, a wall-eyed anesthesiologist was sticking an enormous needle in my back in order to administer an epidural. To celebrate the anniversary of this event, I made cupcakes."
Heather Armstrong was crass, funny, and super authentic and relatable. And in the early 2000s, readers loved her for it. As Heather navigated the uncharted waters of creating content and building an online audience, she made a daring decision in 2004 to run ads on her blog. Little did she know that this bold move would ignite a tidal wave of backlash from fans who questioned her right to monetize her platform. In a world where tech and politics blogs were running ads without a second thought, the notion of a mum profiting from her story sparked outrage. Many felt that incorporating advertisements into her blog would compromise its authenticity and undermine the personal connection they felt with her. Some accused her of selling out or prioritizing profit over her original content and community. The backlash was intense and deeply personal for Armstrong. She faced criticism not just for her decision to run ads, but also for her personal life choices and parenting decisions, which she shared openly on her blog. The experience was emotionally taxing. Armstrong found herself at the centre of a heated debate about the intersection of personal expression and commercialization on the internet. But Heather didn't shy away. She leaned into running ads, and what happened? She became hugely successful. By 2009, her blog had 8.5 million readers each month and, according to the Wall Street Journal, was earning $40,000 a month from banner ads. The New York Times crowned her the Queen of the Mummy Bloggers. That same year, Forbes named Armstrong one of its 30 most influential women in media, alongside Arianna Huffington, Tyra Banks, and Oprah. Her blog became so successful that her husband quit his job to help manage the site. Now, Heather didn't know it at the time, but her decision to be the first mummy blogger to run ads on her site actually became a blueprint for the creator economy, showing how independent creators could work with brands to generate income from their content. But despite the groundbreaking success of Heather and other women like her, today a stark reality persists. Female content creators continue to lag behind their male counterparts in terms of monetization and recognition, particularly on YouTube. So even though early female influencers blazed the trail for navigating how to blend personal expression and business online, a disparity in earnings between male and female creators quickly appeared. And this earnings gap has proven very difficult to close. But why? Why is it that despite their important contributions to the creator economy, women make so much less money than men on YouTube? I'm Shoshana Alon, and this is Who Killed the Female YouTube Star, an investigative podcast where we delve into the reasons behind the glaring gender divide on YouTube. As the COO of Thought Leaders, a company that connects YouTubers with brands, I work with creators every day. I've spent the last 5 years living and breathing all things YouTube and the creator economy. I became obsessed with the lack of women in the top rankings on YouTube, and I wanted to investigate why men were significantly outperforming women on the platform. In the first episode, we looked at the size and impact of the issue of gender disparity on one of the world's most important social and entertainment platforms. We talked to female creators who highlighted challenges, such as the difficulty of long-form content creation on YouTube, their experiences of gender bias, and the impact of the gender credibility gap on how their content is perceived. In this episode, we're going to look at the history of the creator economy, as well as the evolution of monetization on YouTube, and investigate how money plays a role in the gender disparity on the platform. We saw that in the list of the world's top 50 YouTubers, there were only 7 female creators, and only 3 of those are adult women. This podcast explores why that is.
That's so crazy. I mean, it's so crazy, but it also doesn't surprise me just based on how things have been going for the past few years for like women content creators.
That's journalist Taylor Lorenz, who I interviewed for this podcast. I'll be honest, I never thought I'd be able to bring surprising new information to Taylor on this topic. She is a total expert on everything relating to the creator economy and has written for The New York Times, The Atlantic, The Daily Beast, and currently for The Washington Post. She recently came out with a fascinating new book, Extremely Online: The Untold Story of Fame, Influence, and Power on the Internet. In the book, she charts the 2-decade history of creator culture, documenting how user-generated content has redefined our lives. I asked Taylor to walk me through how women played such a central role in creating this industry.
Around the turn of the millennium, you saw the rise of a lot of blogging software. And so you started to see these women that were largely shut out of the labor market. They were young moms, young Gen X moms, and they turned to blogging. And a lot of them kind of decided to blog because the women's media of the time didn't really represent them or represent what they felt like was an accurate view of motherhood. A lot of the women's magazines were ultimately owned by these male-controlled media conglomerates, or they were just like hyper kind of paternalistic. They'd write these articles about motherhood and just quote a bunch of male doctors and not really talk to women and not really reveal the messier sides of being a mom.
The rise of the mummy blogger in the mid-2000s was an important precursor to the broader creator economy that we see today. As the popularity of mummy blogging grew in the early aughts, it paved the way for the emergence of other types of content creators who used blogging platforms and social media to share their own experiences, thoughts, and creative work. As we saw from Heather Armstrong, the rise of the mummy blogger also helped to establish the importance of personal storytelling and authenticity in online content creation. Many of these bloggers were seen as relatable and authentic because they were sharing their real lives and experiences, and this helped to build trust with their readers and followers. This focus on authenticity has continued to be a key aspect of the creator economy. Many successful creators today build their brands and communities around their unique personal stories and experiences.
Mommy bloggers started to sort of develop these cults of personality and were really the first content creators, professional content creators on the internet. They would monetize their content. They would do sponsored content. They would do, all of these different things that are really commonplace today. And yeah, the industry was so built by women. It was also a lot of early female MySpace stars, which is around the same era, early reality TV stars who were crossing over to be kind of content creators. Also, it was a lot of women. It was like really famous people like Paris Hilton or Kim Kardashian. They both like to call themselves the first influencer. It was very female dominated. Also, all the fashion bloggers as well. Fashion and beauty were 2 huge categories that leaned hard into this world early.
In my discussion with Jessie Grossman, she also spoke about how women started the influencer economy. In her role as a talent manager for influencers in the early stages of the creator economy, she has seen firsthand how women really shaped the developing creator industry.
Since the very beginning, it was really unique in that influencer marketing was largely female dominated. You don't see that really anywhere. And so it's something that I definitely noticed pretty early on and on both sides too, right? Like the influencer marketer side, but also the creator side. What I also had experienced just in my past is a lot of instances where men outshone women and that, women were just largely doing so much work, yet unfortunately not necessarily being given the accolades that I saw men being given, and this is from personal experience in my work life.
You wouldn't guess it by looking at the depressing numbers we mentioned earlier, but there was actually a time when the biggest creators on YouTube were women. Just look at Brooke Allison Brodak, who was one of the earliest YouTubers.
So hi, for those of you who don't know me, I'm Brookers, and I'm an internet celebrity. For those of you who do know me, and you know exactly who you are, don't deny it. Now is probably a good time to keep your mouth shut about that. I don't think you want your boss knowing that you're on the internet 24/7.
Living in Holden, Massachusetts with her mother and younger sister, Brodak began her internet journey in September 2005 by posting short comedic videos on her YouTube channel, Brookers.
This little bit is a treat for you. If you don't like me, then it's not a treat for you. And then I would question you, why are you watching this?
People loved her videos. By June 2006, Brodak's unique comedy style was getting massive national attention. She was the first channel to reach the 10,000 subscriber milestone. The New Yorker called her the first real YouTube star. She was offered an 18-month development contract from Carson Daly, who was the host of a late-night show on NBC at the time. Remember, this is almost 20 years ago when YouTubers were not able to monetize their videos. Despite the offer, nothing materialized from the collaboration. Brodak relocated to LA and moved in with another YouTuber, iJustine, but after a while she deleted her channel and moved to India. From there, she started posting content relating to Indian philosophy and never really regained anything like the popularity of her early foray into YouTube. However, Brookers wasn't the only example of a female-fronted channel dominating the spotlight in the early years of YouTube. Remember Lonely Girl 15?
Hi guys, so this is my first video blog. I've been watching for a while and I really like a lot of you guys on here.
In 2006, a teenage girl named Bree started a video blog about her life. Under the username LonelyGirl15, she shared thoughts about her life and interactions with her friends, drawing viewers into a seemingly authentic portrayal of her life experiences. This series became wildly popular as viewers became invested in her life, and in 2006, Lonely Girl 15 was YouTube's most subscribed channel for over 6 months.
Hi. So, I'm up here in my room again because I'm grounded. That's a juicer for juicing things.
However, in September of that year, it was revealed that Lonely Girl 15 was not a genuine vlogger, but instead a scripted series created by a group of male filmmakers.
People believe that it was real, but it was in fact staged and improvised.
There were these two guys, Miles and Mesh, and they came up with this idea for a way to tell a story. So they were going to set us up as these two characters, and we're going to disappear, and 6 months to a year later, a movie would come out.
The revelation sparked a mix of reactions. Some viewers liked the content regardless of the fact it was a piece of fiction. Others felt deceived and criticised the project for its lack of transparency. By the time the revelation about the scripted nature of the series had come to light, the channel had over 8 million subscribers and had generated tens of millions of views for its videos. Even after coming out as a fake vlog, the series evolved and continued, with the creators continuing the project into 2008. Lonely Girl 15 is often cited as the world's first web series and another pioneer of the vlogging format. It also proves that, scripted or not, YouTube viewers were drawn to content centered around a woman. The early success of Brookers and Lonely Girl 15 may have been short-lived, but it shows us that the current gender disparity we see on YouTube was in no way inevitable from the platform's inception. When I read about these YouTubers, I felt like I was looking at an alternative reality of what YouTube could still look like today. So if things started relatively positively, with women dominating and defining this new industry, where did it all go so wrong? To answer that, I want to zoom out a little and look at the other platforms that followed in the wake of YouTube and played their own role in shaping the creator economy. Remember, YouTube was founded in February 2005. That gives it a 5-year head start on Instagram, which was launched in October 2010 and changed the way that we were able to interact with these online figures. Rather than watching weekly videos, fans were able to follow these creators through daily posts and hourly updates. In 2011, Snapchat launched onto the scene, followed by TikTok a few years later in 2016. Every platform offered different formats, features, and tools to allow users to create new content and interact with creators and audiences in new ways. As each of these successive platforms gave audiences different ways to interact with content creators, the idea of the influencer really began to take hold. Merriam-Webster only added influencer to their dictionary in 2019. By that stage, the word had become a common part of speech that we all generally understood to refer to someone on the internet sharing content with a sizable number of followers. And today it is so ubiquitous that it's hard to think of a time before influencers dominated such a large part of our lives. All of these developments have turned the creator economy into a multi-billion-dollar industry. According to the Influencer Marketing Hub's benchmark report for 2024, from a mere $1.7 billion in 2016, influencer marketing grew to have an estimated market size of $16.4 billion in 2022. Experts are predicting the market size to reach an estimated $24 billion by the end of this year. So how exactly are these influencers making all that money? Generally speaking, creators make money via running ads on their content or working with brands on sponsorship deals. It's worth noting that YouTube's monetization options are far better for creators than rival companies like TikTok and Instagram in terms of what the platforms themselves offer to creators through their various creator funds and partner programs. Whitney Cernak is a DIY craft YouTuber who we interviewed for this podcast.
I am very thankful for the community that YouTube has created and also the opportunity to monetize. I mean, I say it to people that I talk about what I do all the time. I'm like, there is no other social media platform that even comes close to monetizing creators like YouTube does. The opportunity is amazing. And especially if you're able to catch a little wind in your sails and grow, like there's a great opportunity there to help you support your family.
In December 2007, YouTube launched the Partner Program.
Creativity deserves to be rewarded. That's why the YouTube Partner Program offers more ways to make money from your channel and community than anywhere else.
Once a channel reaches a certain threshold of viewers and subscribers, YouTube invites that creator to join the Partner Program, which gives them the option of monetizing their videos by allowing ads to be shown alongside their content. These ads are provided by advertisers who pay YouTube for the privilege of reaching its massive audience, and YouTube shares a portion of the revenue earned from these ads with the creators whose videos they appear on. The amount a creator earns from these ads varies widely depending on a number of factors, such as the number of views their videos receive, the demographics of their audience, and the content of their videos. But it's also important to remember that alongside the Partner Program, there is another popular way for creators to make money through advertising. That is with brand sponsorship deals. This means that a brand will pay a creator to feature their product or service inside the content of their video. This could be as simple as a 60-second shout-out or shorter product placement, or it could involve a more elaborate integration of the brand into the wider content of the video. As a general rule, these agreements are worked out directly between the brand and the creator, often via agencies. These kinds of deals make up a lot of the work that we do here at Thought Leaders, bringing the right brands together with the right content. We pay out millions of dollars to creators, so I can tell you firsthand that creators can rack up some serious earnings from working with the right brand partners. Both YouTube's Partner Program and the brand sponsorship deals have matured considerably over the past decade, and advertisers and their dollars have become a central part of the creator economy. In fact, brands are responsible for turning these creators into an economy in the first place. These ad dollars also become a self-perpetuating cycle. More views means more reach for the advertisers, which means more money, which provides the creators with more resources to invest in improving their content. Bigger, better content will then generate even more views and attract attention from more advertisers, thus generating even more money. Revenues from their content can allow creators to start growing their audience, scaling their production, and ultimately turn YouTube into a full-time job, sometimes a very lucrative one. But with these monetization streams came a central shift in the way we relate to this content and the people responsible for creating it. When money became involved, posting on YouTube was no longer just a fun hobby for teenagers and stay-at-home mums. It became a legitimate source of income, a respectable side hustle, and a recognizable path towards achieving fame and fortune. I wanted to look at how these ad dollars were being distributed and whether these brand deals reflect the gender disparity playing out more widely on YouTube. Let's start with a breakdown of our own sales numbers here at Thought Leaders. We've paid out almost $30 million directly to creators. All of that money is from brand sponsorship deals. Now, as a disclaimer, I should make it clear that we work with a variety of different brands across lifestyle, software, finance, and entertainment. Our clients are pretty general, and I didn't have an overwhelming sense that the campaigns we run with them skew largely towards a particular gender. So I was pretty shocked when I saw the results. When I went in and looked at the data, I saw that 65% of the money that we've paid out went to channels that were fronted by men. 20% went to groups or channels that aren't fronted by a particular personality, showing their face on screen. Only 15% of the creator revenues we've paid out at Thought Leaders went to female-led channels. These are some pretty disappointing numbers. And as it turns out, this pay gap exists throughout the whole influencer economy.
Isaiah, an influencer marketing company, released a State of Influencer Equality report last year, analyzing average earnings per post on their marketplace from 2015 to 2022 across all social platforms.
Here's my producer Aviva again.
And while female creators have consistently earned more per post, a major gender pay gap persists. So in 2015, female creators earned 49% of what male creators were earning on average per post. In 2018, that number got a little better. Female creators were making 67% of what male creators were making per post. And in 2022, female creators still lagged behind their male counterparts, earning only 85% as much as the men. And I just want to add something here. So while the focus of this podcast is on pay inequality between male and female creators, I think it's also important that we acknowledge that there is a racial pay gap in the creator economy. It's been widely reported for years that creators of color often earn less than their white peers. In 2021, the global public relations firm MSL released a study revealing some pretty abysmal stats. According to their research, the racial pay gap between white and creators of color is 29%. And if you focus specifically on the gap between white and black influencers, that number widens to 35%. So in short, female creators, particularly women of color, often face a double bind, with both gender and race contributing to significant pay gaps compared to their white male counterparts.
It's important to note that Isaiah's data doesn't focus on YouTube. They track creators across a number of different social media platforms, and female creators were actually responsible for the majority of deals conducted through their marketplace. In 2015, 90% of deals included female influencers. In 2018, it was 86%, and in 2022, it was 77%. But when we look at per post earnings, their data shows that women are making much less per post. So why are women falling behind in this system? Why are they missing out from the top earning spots at the top of the platform? One theory is that women can be poor negotiators. Negotiation and self-promotion is a big part of making money as a content creator. You are consistently negotiating with brands for sponsorship deals, and there is a large body of research that has shown that women may be less likely to negotiate for higher salaries or actively advocate for themselves compared to men. This can contribute to disparities in income between male and female creators. Jessie Grossman, head of Women in Influencer Marketing, talked to me about this in our interview.
Being an influencer is like constantly having to like hustle and sell product and hustle. And I think that I was a proud hustler for years and probably still am to this day, if I'm being honest. But I do think there's something for like this confident, laid back energy. I'll tell you a story that relates to this perfectly. So when I represented influencers, it was predominantly women that I represented, but there were definitely a couple guys, but there was one in particular that always was in the top of my roster, meaning they just brought in the most money. And he didn't have the biggest following. He didn't have the most engagement. When we would talk, in the background about what do we charge for this big partnership, because he got approached for a lot of big things, he would push me. I would end up quoting prices for things that I was like, this was pushing my comfort level. And I am very comfortable asking for large sums of money for creators that I represent.
I asked Jessie what was different about this creator's approach.
The major distinction of my negotiation process with the women that I represented and him in particular, he just had this confidence that he was willing to always walk away. There was never this like, oh my God, what if they walk away? Or like, what if I lose this deal? Or, what if nothing ever happens? There's never any partnerships after this. Oh my God, I have to eventually make it work. And I have to hustle and please, please, please. There was never that. It was this like very confident. There was an ease about it. There was like an acceptance around it. If this doesn't work out, something else will come that's even better. And it was night and day. And so I think that so much of this on the professional side is mindset.
In 2007, the American Psychological Association published a study in which half of the men had negotiated their salary offers in comparison to only 1/8 of the women. More recent studies show a higher proportion of women stepping up to the negotiating table. However, a greater willingness to negotiate doesn't help with the larger issue. Women who behave assertively face a backlash for being seen as aggressive or ambitious. So, is the pay gap on YouTube just a reflection of the wider problem of income inequality between men and women in our economy as a whole? In 2022, women made an average of 82 cents for every dollar made by men. This compared with 80 cents in 2002. So in 20 years, income inequality has only progressed by 2 measly cents. So it's very clear that this pay disparity exists far beyond the confines of YouTube. In fact, I spoke to Taylor Lorenz about how she sees this playing out in her industry, journalism.
Male tech reporters are paid huge amounts more than women because our beats are seen as unserious. Often women, I think there's a reason that the entire internet culture beat, which is very much a tech reporting beat, is dominated by women because it's seen as unserious. Men don't take the content creator industry seriously. At all. It's maligned. Just the fact that these men like to call me a TikTok reporter, which by the way, I lean into because I think it's so silly. It's like when they called me a YouTube reporter for years and said YouTube is for cat videos. There's a fundamental dismissal of these technologies until they realize how much money is in them. And then there's a recognition.
And that's exactly what's happened, not just to journalism about YouTube, but to the platform itself. In researching this episode and following the money, I came to develop a very different reading of how the creator industry evolved over the last 20 years. Women were at the top of the blogging sphere and vlogging space before it became the creator economy. As soon as it turned into an industry with money involved, women were pushed to the side and seen as less legitimate, less serious. When there was some respectable dollar to be made by creating content, men began dominating, and women were no longer taken seriously in the industry they had played such an important role in building. There is even a backlash by men against being referred to as influencers, as summed up by Wired's 2019 article, Why Women Are Called Influencers and Men Creators. One quote from the article reads, "The idea is that influencing is easier than producing something, even when what you're producing is a 2-hour video of yourself playing a video game." It's not the first time that women's work has been devalued in this way. Taylor even told me that she had discovered that a male colleague of hers was getting paid double what she was getting paid at the New York Times. She was one of the lowest paid people on her desk, despite the fact that she had some of the most read stories on the section. When Taylor spoke about the disparity in salary structure at the New York Times, sure, I was a little taken aback, but I can't say I was too surprised. I mean, aren't we used to stories like this within the quote-unquote establishment media? We know by now that there are these old fogey-type gatekeepers running the show. But isn't YouTube supposed to be this brave new world of the internet, with one of the best monetization programs out there for creators? Why are we still seeing the same gender pay disparity there that we have with establishment media? Beyond the money they're making from advertisers, there is another crucial way that creators are starting to cash out. In the last few years, VC investment funds have become increasingly interested in businesses that spin off from the image and audience that leading creators have built up online. There have been countless examples in the past few years. MrBeast launching Feastable Chocolates, Mark Rober and Crunch Labs, Paul Logan and KSI combining their star power to attract investors and customers alike for their Prime Energy drink. David Dobrik's photo-sharing app Dispo was valued by investors at $200 million in February 2021, before a scandal broke out involving the creator 1 month later and had VCs running scared. Investors are getting very interested in creators and the businesses they can build with them, but again, as Taylor points out, there are some creators being left out of these million-dollar deals.
Women are not given these lucrative deals. I mean, I talk about the VCs too, because the VCs sort of all discovered this entire industry after dismissing it for over a decade. And, they sort of discovered it in 2021 when they really couldn't ignore it, rather than recognize the success of like any female creator, like Emma Chamberlain or whatever. Who do they sort of pivot to funding? Mark Andreessen directly funded Jake Paul. Jake Paul has made so many attempts to have a VC firm and every single one fails. I think it's probably his third attempt now. And yet Mark Andreessen is giving him millions of dollars, right? No female content creator would be given that. No female content creator is given that. No female content creator is rewarded. Look at who everyone reveres. MrBeast, David Dobrik. These men that frankly have huge problems with misogyny and harassment and, all the other bad things that go along with it. Like, they are the ones that the venture capitalists are throwing funding at. They're the ones that are getting the lucrative brand deals. They're the ones that are getting the media coverage.
This involvement from venture capitalists marks the most recent phase in the creator economy. If this industry began back in the days of mummy bloggers with no obvious paths to monetization, it has matured over the past 2 decades to encompass lucrative deals promoting products. In this latest iteration, creators and investors alike have realized that once the creator becomes a brand, they can build a company around that brand and use their content to promote their own products rather than someone else's. The money involved in these deals is worlds away from the small fledgling brand deals that the mummy bloggers we started with were earning. And the kinds of creators receiving this money are also very, very different. Now, over the course of this episode, we've explored a few theories of why there is such a large pay gap between men and women, both within the creator industry and within the economy more widely. I feel that the truth of the matter may be that as a society, we're just not that comfortable with women earning serious money. And the influencer marketing industry is no different in this. At the start of this episode, we spoke about Heather Armstrong, one of the OG mummy bloggers. If we look at some of the hate that Heather received way back at the beginning of her blog, when she began to monetize her website and run ads, we see that society loves to hate on a powerful woman making money. It sometimes feels that as a culture, in many ways, we're just not comfortable with women having any kind of impactful public platform and presence. And when a woman does take up space online, society can be oh so ready to tear her down. In the next episode, we'll dive further into that idea, and we'll be looking at some of the hatred female creators face on the internet simply for being female creators on the internet. Join us then in Who Killed the Female YouTube Star? This podcast was produced by me, Shoshana Alon, and Aviva Matan Zimmerman, with additional production, editing, and sound design support by Tracy Levy, Tom Alush, and Emma Flanders. Many thanks to David Tintner and the entire Thought Leaders team for all their help in making this series.